What is your most terrifying animal encounter? I was walking through the swamps of Florida during a military school that teaches you how to hate life more. I was half asleep when we took a short halt to figure out where the hell we were. I barely recognized that something was floating in front of me. That was the day I discovered that having a water moccasin 6 inches from your Johnson will wake you up way better than coffee. Thankfully, I had the sense of mind not to panic, so it just swam on by. Went to the Giant Monkey Nature Preserve in Hong Kong to hike around. After a couple hours, a friend pulls out some crackers to snack on, and the monkeys that see this start following us. As we keep walking, more and more monkeys come out of the trees to follow us, and soon there are a couple dozen tailing us about. The front of the pack is only about 5 feet behind us, and we nervously begin discussing how many monkeys we can each take when they inevitably swarm us. Luckily, we reach a main road, and the monkey pack dissipates, but I now have a healthy fear of those tiny cute savages. My brother, mother, dog and I were taking a road trip from New Jersey to Vancouver, Canada. It was the best vacation ever. We camped along the way. North Dakota had these canyons that just seemed to materialize out of nowhere. We decided to stop next to the little Mississippi River, go horseback riding in the canyon, and spend a little extra time in this old-fashioned, Western-style tourist town. When we were setting up camp, we found these sand pits everywhere. We couldn't figure out what these things were, just massive sandy divots around the river and campsites. Well, in the morning, there was a herd of buffalo chilling in our camp. My dog was tied to a tree outside. He was cool as a cucumber. Thank goodness. Good dog. Cody, I miss you. Best boy. Well, the divots in the ground were what the buffalo rolled in after they crossed the river, right where we camped. It was pretty awesome. We walked slowly and just watched them, and stood next to somebody's RV, in case we needed to get inside. After the herd had moved on from our camp, my brother and I decided it would be a good idea to grab the camera and get some up-close shots. I was trailing behind. I wasn't as fast on the bike as he was, and once I got close to him, he turned around and motioned for me to wait. I could see that he was sneaking up to 2 trees, standing tall next to the herd. He was close, but then the whole herd pulses. Every beast seems to move at once, like an electric jolt passed through the lot of them. Hoofbeats, terrifying, body freezing, hoofbeats. I was straddling my bike a ways behind, with nothing around me. No trees, no buildings, just tall grass. I saw my brother dive toward the trees he had been sneaking toward. I jumped on my bike, turned around, and pedaled as fast as my little legs could pump. Sorry, bro. The herd veered off. They didn't head back toward the river, but alongside it. I stopped at the camp to tell Mum what happened. She, of course, wigs out, and we start running toward where I left bro in the trees. He was running back to camp, I'm sure unable to ride his bike with the adrenaline. The herd had stampeded around him like freaking Simba. He was shocked, but otherwise unhurt, and I'm a terrible sister for leaving him, but I so would have been trampled. Anyway, coolest vacation ever. When I was about 13, I went fishing with my family at All Small Creek near our country home. I thought I'd be cool and go stand on some rocks to get a better angle on the deep end, where the biggest fish were. My baby sister, about 3 years old, came with me. After a few minutes, she started saying there was a snake. I looked back, but didn't see anything, and figured it was just a stick. A few more minutes went by, and she wouldn't stop insisting there was a snake. I ignored her until she started crying. Then, I looked where she was pointing more closely. There, from the darkness under a rock only a couple feet away, a giant cottonmouth snake sat hissing at us. I screamed, dropped my fishing pole, grabbed my sister, and sprinted back to the sandy shore, as fast as I could. I nearly got my sister, or myself, a ticket to the hospital at best, or the grave at worst. So scary. Not me, but my mother. My cat was sitting on the windowsill looking into the night. My mom moves the curtain aside, only for my cat to jump onto her face and cut a massive gash into her chin. There was a trail of blood on the floor. When I woke up the following morning, she later told me that she waited over 3 hours in the ER because the injury description of cat scratch didn't warrant a prompt response. When she was finally admitted, the doctor was surprised she wasn't admitted immediately. She ended up with stitches, don't remember how many, and plastic surgery. Being attacked by a drunk monkey. The monkey was the pet of the owner of a hotel I was staying at, in the jungle of Peru. I was by the pool with a friend, and it came up to us, and started playfully nibbling on our fingers. My friend and I, both girls, were fully dressed by the way. This young male monkey started biting and scratching my arms and legs, with gradually more ferocity. My arms were bare, and I was wearing jeans. Went from cute to Cujo very quickly. Thankfully, the owner intervened and grabbed the teenaged monkey. Then, I saw monkey take a swig of beer from the owner. My friend said she saw it drinking beer with the owner prior to approaching us. No skin was broken, thankfully. I watched a fascinating encounter between a woman and a monkey in the temple at Ubud in Bali. The monkey comes up to the woman and starts picking at the button on her shirt arm. The woman does not like this and starts shooing the monkey away. There are signs that tell you not to do this. The monkey gets agitated and starts picking harder. The woman shoos the monkey harder and starts saying, "No." The monkey starts to freak out, and after a few more seconds, goes to bite the woman on the arm. This would be bad, as these monkeys are likely to carry rabies. Just as teeth are about to break skin, the woman's daughter, who is an adult, decides she needs to intervene, and throws a banana skin at the monkey. The monkey's head whips around at her, and for a second, time stops. Then, the monkey jumps about 20 feet in one leap, about 2/3 the distance between them, causing the daughter to run away screaming, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." The monkey decides that it's not worth it, and slinks away. Not terrifying for me, but those two ladies came really close to catching rabies, and being savaged by a monkey. When I was about 8, I was taking horseback riding lessons on a farm from some teenager, who thought she knew what she was doing. One day, she let me ride her young gelding, who was incredibly green, and not suitable for a child to ride. We were having a lesson outside in an open field, versus a secure fenced-in arena, when the horse spooked at something and bolted. The farm was located down a very long driveway, and was a long stretch of very busy highway. When the horse took off with me, I froze, in fear. He ran up the long driveway, and directly into the highway, dodging cars with me on his back. Drivers started honking at us. Yeah, 'cause that's helpful. And after what seemed like an eternity, the little jackass horse turned up a driveway, ran me under a tree branch. I stayed on, and finally came to a stop in someone's front yard to eat grass. As soon as he stopped, I jumped off of him and collapsed to the ground. The homeowner came outside to ask me what the hell happened, and why was there a horse in her yard. Then, she gave me a drink of water, and we waited for my grandpa and instructor to find me. They showed up in a car about 10 minutes later. That fucking horse was an asshole. I just wanna say, I have terrible arachnophobia. Not huge, or actually an animal. I was lying on my bed, looking at my phone. I felt an itch on my shoulder, then my arm. Then I looked at my hand. A spider a few inches across was on my hand. I flung it across the room. It crawled under my bedside table, never to see it again. I slept on the sofa. I was beat up by male boar goat when I was about 17. A friend of mine lived on a farm and his parents had bought goats for show. They had a buck that was around 200 pounds, and had a nasty attitude. I was in his pen, trying to feed him and his ladies. It was mating season, and he didn't appreciate me being around his ladies. I had just turned back around, facing him after dropping feed, and wham, I was head-butted in the stomach by a 200 pounds male goat, and then pinned into a barbed wire fence. At that point, he was using all of his weight and strength to pin me into the ground. Luckily for me, my friend was only a few feet away, and immediately grabbed him by the horns, and got him off of me. I walked away with some cuts on my back from the fence, and a lot of bruises. Probably the scariest encounter with an animal in my life. When I was 20, I went to South Africa and worked for 2 months at a wildlife sanctuary. One night, about 3 weeks into our trip, we went camping near a lake. As we were going to bed, we could hear lions in the distance. We had 2 guide strangers with us, both locals. They took shifts from 11 until 6, switching at around 2:30 a.m. There were about 20 of us with them, and 2 would stay with them for about 2 hours before switching. My turn began at 2. I was on with a German woman, Diane, and the guides. I needed to go and pee, so I walk over to a tree that was close enough that it was safe. After I finish, I hear this rustling behind me. I was wearing a head torch, and immediately turn around with it on, heart beating. This rustling is getting louder, and whatever it is, closer. Just as I hit peak shitting myself, a pangolin walks out of the bush. A fucking pangolin. I have never been so relieved, and also excited to see a small, slightly adorable creature like this walk out of a bush. I spent a minute or 2 watching it do its thing, before I returned to the campfire. Diane is standing there looking terrified and worried. No guide around. I ask her what happened, and she said the guide saw some lions with his head torch, and walked off to scare them off. Said guide walks back, and warns me not to take so long. I tell him and Diane about the pangolin, and he goes from serious to amused. Says that it is a bull, a pangolin who lives near the campsite, that has a tendency to scare campers. That was a weird and enlightening trip for me, but very fun. I recommend going to a wildlife sanctuary to work. It is worthwhile. Edit, link for pangolin, if you don't know what they are. House cat. Kitty had gotten fixed a few weeks prior, and unfortunately suffered brain damage due to anesthesia or something. She became super friendly, but would always come up behind you when you were doing something, and ended up getting unintentionally kicked or stepped on, because you didn't know she was there. Of course it hurt, not permanently, just ouch. The cat, and she was confused, couldn't understand why or what the hurt was about, due to her brain not working right. But then, it sort of crossed a line and a switch got flipped. The cat flipped to you being a source of a deliberate attack on her. You were trying to kill her, because you stepped on her toe, and she went in to kill the human. Terminator mode. You couldn't tell when the switch was going to flip, it just happened. It was literally life or death to the cat. Screaming, howling, screeching, attacking you with everything she had. No holding back. That cat was terrifying because there was no sense of self-preservation involved. Most animals will at least attempt to leave themselves a way out, or try to not get themselves killed. But not our little kitty. She attacked me on 3 occasions. My other half twice. We had little kids. No way was Kitty staying here. We had to rehome her to a quiet home where she could be paid attention to, and separated from any noise or bustle, so she wouldn't be triggered. Last I heard, she was doing better. I had no idea a common house cat could be so terrifying. I honestly felt like I was trying not to kill an animal that was trying to kill me, and it wasn't an easy decision. I was helping some friends with castrating steers. I got the lovely job of being the one to chase them down the chute to the lock, where they would have the deed done. I don't know how it's possible, but one decided that there was no way in hell he was getting his nuts chopped, and he managed to turn around in the chute. He was running back at me, and I was going as fast as I could to get away. I tried to climb the fence, but there were metal bars every 5 or so feet, and I just happened to hit my head on one. He ran past me, but I was shoved up against the fence so hard. I don't know how he didn't get my feet, and I'm lucky he didn't decide to ram me. It was terrifying. I was the only one brave enough to do the job, and after that, my dad declared no more. I was 13. With that out of the way, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you want more content to keep appearing in your subscription box. Thanks for watching, and until next time.